Flying wyvern porcupine himself, Hyujikiki, is actually one of the more interesting monsters when it comes to Monster Hunter Frontier due to its ecology. You see, it doesn't really have any elemental attacks, yet all of its spikes are capable of utilizing the following: paralysis, poison, and even sleep, with its weakness being, fire and thunder, which is actually pretty interesting. Now we'll only be focusing on the desert and the highlands, as the Inceptor base and fortress ruins are not really environments, and we'll be talking about this creature in general. So believe it or not, Hyujikiki easily is capable of being an apex monster. As a matter of fact, it is, with it also being capable of holding its own against the monsters like Tigrex, Rathalos, Akura, and even Quarpesu. However, it is still a prey animal at the end of the day, and this is where its spikes come in. Now, you see, it's very possible that this biological evolution came from the fact that it was predated, or at least preyed upon, by the likes of Obita Tarsu and Portumemu, the apexes or the higher tiers of the environments that they're in. Portujomemu's jaws and pretty much its mouth in general have backward-facing teeth, easily capable of snatching something and pulling it in, and well, it is a pretty big flying wyvern, probably one of the biggest ones out there, to be honest. And the fact that it literally preys upon a lot of the creatures there actually makes sense why Hyujikiki's evolutionary process likely gave it spikes. And then there's Obita Tarsu, with Obita Tarsu being the essential Eucanlos and Acantor of the desert wyvern, or pretty much of the desert itself, excuse me. And the fact that it's able to suck in sand, no diddy, and being able to blast it from multiple openings on its body. Now this actually is pretty interesting, because in the sheer fact that Hyujikiki spikes would make it very much the last prey item you want to eat. This means that if these guys try to snack on it, they get a mouthful of spikes, probably rolling into a armadillo or porcupine ball in order to prevent itself from getting eaten. This means that these predators get a nasty mouthful of either being paralyzed, which allows Hyujikiki to escape, poison, which means they'll just have to spit them out entirely, and then it could easily knock them out and go to sleep. Hyujikiki spikes could definitely serve a lot of these purposes, and likely would serve those purposes of being anti-predator mechanisms, which actually fits perfectly. Not many creatures, or pretty much a few creatures in Monster Hunter, do show some anti-predator defenses, such as the likes of Espinas with his poison spikes on it, but again, we don't know what actually preyed upon him. But considering it did live in Frontier before becoming in, Sunbreak, it's very possible that Portumemu actually did go ahead and try to eat Espinas, which would have caused it to evolve its poisonous spikes. This would also go in for things like Congalala and stuff like that. Najaral as well. Its armor is pretty much anti-predator or anti-prey mechanics, considering the fact that it's strong enough to withstand and even, kind of rebuff weapons or the jaws of bone-crushing monsters like Tigrex and Devil Joe. Then you have Congalala's obviously fart. I mean, nobody's going to touch you if you can fart in their face, or want to even eat you if they can fart in their face. But this also helps with its competition, particularly Rathalos, Rathian, and any other flying wyvern in a more aerial class, as I call it. Basically, flying wyverns that actually do spend a large majority of their lives in the air, and yeah, this would honestly, in my opinion, help Hyujikiki deal with the likes of Rathalos, in my opinion. As again, there are so many characters or so many monsters that Rathalos honestly fights that honestly just, what's what I'm looking for here, that he can just easily pick up and just thrash, in all honesty. And believe it or not, I think that is pretty important when it comes down to it. You see, Barioth, Narcocuja, and Tigrex are all fairly similar to Hyujikiki, and the fact that Barioth is the only one with armor on its back makes sense because of Legiana and its sharp talons. But meanwhile, Tigrex and Narcocuja do not have any armor, meaning that when Rathalos literally goes ahead to grab it on its back, they can do it with ease, and this also allows Rathalos' poison talons to also dig into the back of its quarries as well. Now, again, try that with Hyujikiki. Try that with a flying wyvern that can literally, doesn't even need to move or fight back. Rathalos would be literally stabbing itself in its own foot if it did something like this. The fact that if it goes for Hyujikiki's back, it's going to inject itself with either poison, which would be ironic because it's poison going inside your own talons, which are poisonous in general, paralyzation, which can work on Rathalos, and then also hit it with a sleep concoction as well. The fact that this can also be used for prey capture as well, utilizing the spikes to set up a minefield for your prey so that when you scare them and they run, they can easily trip over or cut themselves on one of the spikes on the ground, and this pretty much allows them to, well, get one of the three things here. So yeah, overall, I do like this monster. He was very fun in Frontier, and the fact that he could literally rain down spikes on his opponents is very interesting. Plus, it's not too often you see a lot of these anti-predator defenses when it comes to Monster Hunter, as most of the monsters do utilize just sheer power to kind of get their way. Sure, they do have biological weapons that allow them to, you know, fight against each other, but again, imagine having to evolve from something that constantly ate your kind, and then you evolve these back spikes to just deal with it. But overall, I do like him, and honestly, he deserves more. I do think he should be in Monster Hunter Wilds. He would be very great for the desert and a very good obstacle for newer players to overcome. But that's going to be all today, you guys, and as you guys can see, Garen Bazuru is going to be up next. Peace.